So welcome to GoGuardian. GoGuardian Teacher. I'm Sarah Wisman. I teach computer technology at KMS. If you ever need to get a hold of me, you've got my email. I'm more than happy to troubleshoot with you. I've been using GoGuardian for 3 years or so. So we're going to just kind of go over basics of GoGuardian setup, how you can customize your classes, using something called scenes to help filter what kids are seeing while they're on their Chromebooks, and then some kind of general classroom management features, like some of my favorite commands that you can use in GoGuardian that you might like. But for right now, where are you on the scale of 1 to 5 in your usage or knowledge of GoGuardian? 1 being, I have no idea. 5 being, I could teach this class. Where are you? 1. 1s, 2s?
0.
0, okay, all right. I appreciate the honesty. A 1, okay. Well, then you're in the right place. If you were a 4 or 5, I'd say you probably could go to something else. This is just a quick video just to kind of give you an overview of what GoGuardian is and what it can do.
The classroom is changing. It's becoming digital, more connected, offering students a whole new world of possibilities to learn and grow. And with that, a ton of distractions that make it hard to keep students on task. You could block off large portions of the internet, but that's like taking your students to the Louvre and making them stay in the lobby. There's got to be a better way. Now the team that brought you GoGuardian's world-class Chromebook security is bringing you GoGuardian for Teachers, which gives you complete control over your classroom technology. During each session, you'll know exactly what your students are doing and keep track of their activity in real time. So you can remove distractions, see what your students are working on, connect with students who need help, and direct the flow of your digital resources, all from a simple, easy-to-use dashboard. This is the best way to keep your students focused and engaged, while giving them the freedom to make the most of the digital classroom. GoGuardian for Teachers is designed to let you focus on teaching and help your students focus on learning. Welcome to the future of classroom management. GoGuardian for Teachers. Sign up now to get started for free.
So the need for something like GoGuardian came about probably the day that Kettering decided to become a one-to-one technology school district, which we're finally at this point. But starting in 2013, we actually started piloting some of the different programs that were out there. We actually piloted GoGuardian in 2013, and it wasn't great then. I mean, that was quite a few years ago. There were a lot of functionality issues, so they decided not to go with GoGuardian. They've made tons of updates, and in 2017, we piloted the same program again. It was great, decided to adopt it. So it's being used currently in our secondary and high schools. Teachers are using it daily. Now, for you guys, if you are interested in it, I know you were told you have to attend some sort of GoGuardian training, right, before you can request access. So all you would have to do is issue track that you want an account. Do you have issue track capabilities? If not, you can
go to somebody.
Okay, or you can email Roger, and they can get you set up with an account, and then you'll be ready to go with monitoring your students. Okay, you could even issue track it today.
Do we have to say we attended this?
Yep, I would say I attended Sarah's session at Kett-Tech, and that way they'll know you attended. And if somebody says, hey, was so-and-so, yeah, of course they were.
Yeah.
Yes, honor system, of course. Right now, from what I heard, it's 3rd, 4th, and 5th, but if there are licenses out there, I'm sure that they would use them for 2nd grade if it's something that you're interested in. And you're 5th? Is that right? Yeah, so you're good. Just some different terminology that you'll hear me using. Classrooms, those are the rosters of kids that you would be monitoring. And then sessions are the time period in which they are being monitored. Now, if you are departmentalized, you would set it up for whenever you see your kids during the day, your different kids during the day. If you're self-contained, like I assume you guys are, you could run a session from bell to bell, all day long, and kids would be being monitored all day long. And then you would also do, with your K to 5, you could set different like class period sessions. Commands are just the ways that you interact with students in different ways. Like you can chat with them, you can send content to them, like send them a website or a Google Doc that they can work on. You can block sites that they're on, you can close tabs, you can lock their Chromebook down so they can't do anything if they need a timeout or something like that. Even I give my 8th graders timeout sometimes. And then scenes are just another layer of protection, and this might be helpful for you. If you only want them on iReady, you can set a scene that will block everything else but iReady. Or if you need them on AimsWeb, you can block everything. Well, they get on a different platform for AimsWeb right now. Okay, but if there are things that you want them only on, you can apply what's called a scene. And I'm going to show you that in a little bit. This is my husband, George. He's my helper today. He's acting as a student, so you can see a live session happening and see some of these commands working. Once you get your account, you guys will sign in with your Google accounts, your ketteringschools.org accounts, because then it will be able to access your Google Drive for some different things. Okay, so as far as setting classrooms up, I think this is your best option, is to sync it with Clever. Same thing if you're self-contained, you would pick one of your rosters and you could sync GoGuardian with it. That way, as kids move in and out of your classrooms, it will automatically update in GoGuardian as well. You can also do a Google Classroom sync, but that has a manual component to it where kids won't fall off or be added as they come in. So that would be my suggestion to you, is since you don't have Clever, you could create Google Classrooms that will sync with GoGuardian. And if you wanted to do just 2, like you guys said, maybe, you can add a classroom with just those 2, and all you need is their email addresses for that. Because there are 2 extensions on all kids' Chromebooks that allow GoGuardian Teacher to monitor them, and those are automatically there. So kids don't have to do anything. They don't have to say, yes, I agree to be monitored. It automatically will happen because they have those extensions. Okay, so once you guys get your accounts, you will want to customize your classes, especially if you are not going to be monitoring kids all day. So this is what it will look like. I'm going to go back and forth between 2 computers so you can see things happening. So when you log in, this is what GoGuardian will look like. I have classrooms set up based on my different class periods, and these are all rostered with Clever. So the students are automatically there. When you guys log in, all of your Power School kids that are, then synced through Clever will be there. All you have to do is go to this pending section and say accept. And once you accept that, the class is automatically set already in Classroom or in GoGuardian. And then you can work on changing their settings. So here's my 6th period class, which happens at a certain time during the day. You can change the subject area that you teach, give it a description. I call it 6th period, so I know that class is 6th period, because otherwise it's called 11A, and that means nothing to me. I don't know what 11A is, but I know what 6th period is. So that's why I call it 6th period. And then here's that scheduling part that I told you about. So I have these kids same time, Monday through Friday. So automatically a session will start to monitor them, even if I'm not in the classroom. So I don't have to log into GoGuardian if I don't want to. If I'm out at PD or I'm out sick, the session will automatically start. If you don't set up time sessions, you have to manually start a session and manually end it. And I would never remember to do that because, you're tying shoes or you're having to get, kids' supplies. So if you set the sessions, then that takes away that part for you. It's automatically going to happen. Now, it will not monitor kids if they're homesick, even once the session starts. It will only monitor kids that are in our networks. And it will only monitor Monday through Friday. And it will only monitor up until 6 o'clock at night. But like, we don't have to worry about school breaks or anything like that to like turn a session off, because they wouldn't be in our network when they're at home. So we don't have to worry about changing anything for summer or spring break or anything like that. Okay? So setting up time sessions is really, I think, a good feature to remember to use so that you're not having to start a session manually. Any questions so far? You guys are good. Now, once you get a session going, this is a screenshot of one of the sessions that I had going a while ago. And there's a lot to see here. I know I've blocked kids' names out so you can't see who's on what. But this is what your screen would look like if you've got a session going.
With each student?
With each student.
Is a different student?
Yep. And so my classes that have 30 students, obviously I have to pull my screen down. But the cool thing is you can see, and it's live, it updates every 1 or 2 seconds. So it's almost live. There's hardly an interruption, and I'll show you monitoring George here in a second. But the other cool thing is it shows you every tab that they have open, which is nice. So if you've got kids that come into your classroom, they've got 20 tabs open because they haven't closed a tab since the beginning of the school year. You know, you can actually close those tabs. Yes, you have the ability to close their tabs. So if you see them get on something they're not supposed to be on, you could close it right away if you happen to see it. Now, chances are you're not sitting at your computer monitoring what they're doing, but that is an option that you have, which is cool. So this is what a session looks like once it starts running. Pretty cool?
Is there a backlog?
Yes, yes. So let me show you George right now, my husband. Now remember how I said it only does this on weekdays? We had to get a special setting in place to allow monitoring today because we don't usually monitor on Saturdays. And it doesn't monitor KetteringSchools.org accounts, only KCS accounts. So you guys aren't being monitored with GoGuardian. Whether you're being monitored with something else, I don't know, but GoGuardian is not monitoring you. But this is what a live session kind of looks like. So George went to a site called Nitro Type, which middle school kids love. And if I don't want him to be on there, I simply just have to close the tab and it will go away. George, can you try and go to YouTube? So right now I have him in a scene. So I have a scene applied right here called No YouTube. Meaning if he tries to go to YouTube because he wants to listen to music, he's going to get a screen that looks like this. It says, hey there, looks like your teacher doesn't want you on this site. Okay, it doesn't, like, trumpets don't blare, nobody's going to know, but they get a little gentle reminder that that's not okay. Now, I don't use GoGuardian as a gotcha. Kids know as soon as they're in my classroom, I'm monitoring everything that you do on your Chromebooks, okay? And I will have an announcement on my board. No YouTube or no Nitro Type today. And they'll know that means that I'm blocking those. They can try to go there, but then they're going to get, that. So I don't ever use it as a, hey, I got ya. I always set my expectations for them. Same thing for if you have a guest teacher in your classroom. Have you had that before? And then maybe the guest teacher's like, oh, just get on your Chromebooks. That happens, especially in the middle school. Just, don't make too much noise. Yeah. So I have a scene actually called Guest Teacher that if I'm going to be out, I will put it on there. And it has a certain amount of sites, a certain number of sites that kids can go to when I'm not in the classroom. And just another added layer of security for students. Because YouTube's not blocked. There are lots of things that are blocked, but if you want to block things further, you can do that using scenes.
You set that up, the sub doesn't have
No. You would set it up in your session to run. Like if you're going to be in PD, you might not be able to do it if you're sick. Well, you could as long as you could get on your computer. But you would set it up like the night before. You would set all of your classrooms up that have so they have the guest teacher scene, and then it would automatically run. Nice, right? That's an awesome feature.
You just call that a guest?
I don't call them subs because that's just personal verbiage. I always call them guest teachers because they're guests in my room. So, but that's what a live session looks like. From here, I can also take a screenshot if you have a kid doing something great and you want evidence for OTES, maybe. Or you have a kid who's doing something they shouldn't be doing and it's the 4th time they've done it. Maybe you want to take a screenshot of it so that you can attach it to your office discipline referral, as evidence of that. So you can take screenshots of what they're doing and you can save it to your Google Drive. You can download it to your Chromebook or your teacher computer, which is kind of nice. So again, that's a live session, and we'll come back to our live session in a little bit. So scenes. So these are the 3 scenes that I currently have in my room. So there's a small keyboarding component to the class that I take, and this Nitro Type is a site that kids love. I bet some of your 5th graders know Nitro Type. And so some people would rather do that than the keyboarding that I want them to do. So I have that blocked for them, so the temptation isn't there. And then there's my guest teacher scene. Now you have to create the scenes yourself. So I'll show you what scenes kind of look like. So there are my 3 scenes. You can add a scene if you want. And this is something that you'll have to play around with. It took me a while to kind of figure out how scenes worked. But there are 2 different versions of scenes. There's allow mode, which allows everything except for things you don't want. So my no YouTube one is in allow mode. It allows everything but YouTube. Okay. You can also do something called block mode, which is my guest teacher one. It blocks everything except for iReady or whatever scene, whatever 4 sites you want them on, or 10 sites you will allow them on if you're not in the classroom. Now in the middle schools, we use this for our algebra exams. We use a block mode scene for when our kids are taking their algebra exams. That allows nothing but the exam and their Desmos calculator. Everything else to make it a secure testing platform. Kind of like when kids are logging in for Ames Web, they're in a secure platform, or for their air test, that's a secure platform. This is another way to allow that. So I love the guest teacher feature for, it just gives a little bit more protection for our kids when we're not there. Question?
What's the definition of site? Is it a domain or is it a full URL?
URL.
Can you give like patterns? Can you wild
patterns such as?
Well,
if you want it to allow everything on Google Classroom, like
right.
All of my Google classes have a specific URL. I can just allow the domain Google Classroom. Okay. But if I only want to allow a specific thing on YouTube, for instance, a specific YouTube video, right. I can allow just that specific video.
Okay.
Or I can allow all of YouTube with just the domain.
Okay, so if I had a Google Classroom set up and I had, curated 4 videos that I want them to watch as part of an assignment,
yep.
Then I can list those 4 and block them out everything else in YouTube.
You can. However, if you're adding a YouTube video to a Google Classroom assignment, those won't be blocked because they're watching it within Google Classroom. They're not going to YouTube to watch it. If you've ever noticed it, if you attach a YouTube video, it stays in Classroom. Okay. They have the ability to click YouTube and it will take them to the site.
Right.
If they do that, then you would have to do what you suggested, okay. Where you're only allowing those things. But if they're watching a YouTube video that you have given them through Google Classroom, it stays in Google Classroom.
Or I guess just more generally, if I've, again in Google Classroom, if I've curated 2 or 3 sites that I want them to go to, then I would have to manually add them here.
Yeah, and don't go crazy doing that. I mean, I try and not use block mode very often
Okay.
because it's kind of like the video. You don't want to take kids to the Louvre and leave them in
Sure,
the lobby. They need to have some freedom.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
And you're going to drive yourself crazy trying to,
Right.
you're going to have a million scenes set up for and not remember what things
Okay.
are. Yeah.
Okay.
But domains and URL specific.
I guess it would be, I mean, if I was asking for a new feature, I would want like the sync with Google Classroom, right, where it.
So yeah.
Deepen it.
Yeah.
Maybe that's just it, right?
And they listen to suggestions, teacher suggestions, because they've made changes. Even this year, they've made some accessibility changes that make life a lot easier.
Thanks.
Yeah, sure. So right now, George is on a no YouTube scene. If I want to put him on a different scene, I can simply do that even while a session's running. And so now he's on no YouTube and no Nitro Type. So if he goes to start a game, he's gonna get that blue, hey there, you're on a site you shouldn't be on, kind of thing. Okay? Questions on scenes? That's one of my favorite features, honestly. Yeah.
As students are very tech savvy, is there any way for them to get around that?
I haven't seen it. Our students, on our Chromebooks, we can go in what's called incognito mode. Our students they don't have that ability. That's the only workaround that I can see.
Yeah, because they can't disable the extension.
Yeah. So, some extensions that we've loaded on, they're able to toggle off of it. GoGuardian isn't one that they're able to disable. Able to disable? Okay, classroom management. So once you've got sessions running, you can do lots of different things. And this is, I think, probably the most robust of all of the features that they have, or all of the commands. So if you want to, say you've got your kids working in stations or whatever, and you need to bring everybody back, you can lock everybody's Chromebook with a little message that says, hey, I need your eyes on me, or eyes up front. And then everybody's disabled. It's locked. Can't do anything with it. And then you can easily unlock them. You can lock one kid down if you want, to give them a little timeout. Maybe they've been doing something that they shouldn't be doing and they need a little break. So you can block them that way. You can exclude kids from sessions. So if you have sessions that are going from bell to bell all day long, if you have a kiddo that, say, got called to the office or something, or they went to a different room because they are in a tiered intervention or something, you could exclude them from the session so you're not monitoring what somebody else is doing. If they're in a different classroom, then you could include them back when they come back in. So, for instance, if they're going to you and you're running a session and they're in your class and you're running a session, you would both be able to see the students, okay? But you may not want to see what he's doing with the kids, so you could exclude them from whatever session you're in. It's great for me in middle school, and we've talked about this and with other middle school teachers. We have kids that are in ISS every once in a while, and they may not be doing something in sixth period when they're in my class that they might be doing something for another teacher. So I'll just exclude them so that if I'm sending out a tab to them, they're not getting that tab and interrupting their instruction. So another cool feature is you can open tabs for students. So if I want kids to be on a certain document, or if you want them to go to that certain YouTube video, you can push that out to them rather than waiting for everybody to type it in and for everybody to get there. You can just push it to them and it automatically comes up as their first tab. It's the one that's right on their screen, which is pretty cool. So the snapshots you can take, this is just a sample of a snapshot that you can take of a student while they're working, either for good or bad reasons if you need to take a snapshot. And again, you've got the ability to download it or even save it to your drive if you need evidence. A teacher from the last session said, I've got this kid who will log on to iReady and it looks like they're are there. If you looked at their timeline or their history, they were on iReady the whole time, except they didn't advance any screens. So what can I do for that? I'm like, well, you could take a snapshot every couple minutes. And so then you can see, you've got proof to say, hey, yeah, you really haven't been doing what you need to be doing. So if that's something that you ever feel like you need to have evidence of, that is a capability. This is something called a timeline view. So you can either see a screen view when you're live monitoring, or you can see a timeline. And the timeline won't show exactly what's on their screen, but it will give you kind of a big picture to see who's on task and who's not. Can you see who's not on task real quickly? The guy on top, right? Because everybody else is on this nice blue one, whatever that is, and this one's not. So you can quickly see who's on task and who's not if everybody's supposed to be on the same thing. Yes, George?
I just want to point out that you obviously color-coded that out, the gray. It won't appear gray on them if they're not on the same, is that correct?
Oh, no, it will. This?
Yeah. that
No,
gray
I didn't color code that.
Okay.
This is actual. So they were actually on a document
Gotcha.
when they were supposed to be on this site right here.
Okay,
So no, I didn't color code it. Everything will be different colors.
okay. Because I saw it was the same gray.
Yeah, no, that's just the gray that I blocked people's names out. Yeah. Now, my favorite feature is the chat feature. So kids interact with each other a lot, maybe not in second grade, but with instant messages, text messages, direct messages. You have the capability to send chat messages to kids, which in middle school is great because a lot of kids don't want to talk out loud to teachers anymore because it's not cool or they're too shy, and it's easier for them to send a clarifying question to me in a chat than it is to put their hand up and have me come over. So these are just screenshots of a conversation that I had with 2 different students the other day, and this happened when I wasn't even in the classroom. I was in a meeting and I just checked GoGuardian, because I tell the kids ahead of time, even if I'm not here, I'm here. I can see what you're doing. And I turned the chat feature on, and I instantly started getting messages. Hey, can you help me with this? The guest teacher doesn't really know what they're doing, because that's how 8th graders will talk. So I can clarify for them, even if I'm not in the room. Now, are you expected to do this? No, of course not. You wouldn't be expected to do that, but it's a nice feature. I even had a 6th grader first quarter, super, super shy. I didn't have the chat feature on. She kind of did one of these and raised her hand, and I walked over. She goes, can you turn the chat button on so I can ask you a question? I was like, well, of course, or you could ask me right here. But I'll go turn it on. And then she sent me a message because it was that shy. So it's just another way that you can get feedback from students. In addition to individual chats, you can send an announcement out to the whole class. Like maybe you want to ask a question before you leave whatever subject you're on, maybe a science question. You can send it to the whole class. They can respond, and you would see all of their answers. Nobody else sees the responses, only you do. But I love this chat feature. I don't have it on all the time, but again, I set that expectation with my students. Hey, if the chat bubble comes up, because it shows up on their screen as a little chat bubble, that means I'm available for questions. So I'll show you that live so you can see what it looks like with George. So if I want to turn the chat feature on, I simply have to toggle that. And then I can send him a message. So if I want to send an announcement which would go to everyone, I can do that, and it will interrupt their screen. So you want to show them, George, what it looks like?
Well, it was the previous one.
Oh.
And then this one just came up.
Okay, so see what it does on the screen? It will block their view, and it will stop everybody so they read. Now, if I want to send him a private message, just a simple instant message, I can do that, and it won't show up right on his screen. He'll get just a little message on the, I don't know, can you see it over here? See how he gets a little notification, just kind of like an iMessage that you might get. And then he can respond back to me. Kids can't message each other. I know. Kids can't message each other, and they can only message you if you turn the chat feature on. And you never have to turn it on if you don't want to. But again, I practice this, I model it, I practice it at the beginning of every quarter, so kids know that, hey, I'm available for a question in this way if that chat feature, that chat bubble's on.
I didn't use Google Classroom as much last year in second as I do this year, and just figured out that they can like do some kind of message situation where,
You can turn that off.
yeah, which I was like, how do I turn this off?
Yes.
I've got to figure that out. Because it's very.
That's in your settings. You just go to settings and you can turn off where only you can comment, not students.
Okay.
Hey, she's wearing blue today, or yeah.
Yeah. They're over here like.
And so
all
but
this
that's
stuff.
the, and I forget what it's called in Google Classroom, but the sort of Facebook-like.
It's a comment feature. It's a comment feature that you can set it where only teachers can comment.
They're over there like.
Unless you train them how to do comments, because maybe you want to use it for feedback, which could be good.
Yeah. I'm not-
But unless you've modeled that and how to respond appropriately in that sort of situation, they're going to use it just like.
Be silly.
I've just read about this on the internet, so I don't know if it's really true, but like in a document, supposedly kids are using the
Oh, yes.
comments in documents
Yes.
as a communication medium.
Gentlemen? Yeah, that happens, right? Oh yeah, that happens. So we don't allow students to do Google Hangouts or Google Instant Messages.
Well,
So the
I
work.
just meant like in a document.
Oh yeah, no, the workaround is they open a Google document, share it with their friend. I mean, we're not stupid. We know this is happening, and then that's how they will chat with each other,
And
right?
Is there any way to block that?
Nope.
Okay.
And they'll also your kids can't email each other, but once they get into 6th grade, they can email within district. So once they get into middle school, they're using Gmail more to interact with each other, like an instant message. Then when they were in elementary, they would, I know, I'm laughing at them too. I know, Ethan, I know. We're wise to you. But yeah, in elementaries, they are using a Google Doc to chat.
But if you had GoGuardian, you would be able to.
You would be able to
that
see that.
And have evidence.
Yeah.
If you took a
And
picture.
usually what I'll do if I see a kid like jump over to their email, getting ready to, hey girl, message or whatever, I'll just close the tab. And they're like, oh,
Oh, yeah.
she saw me. And I do that stuff even when I'm not in the room. Like if I'm in a meeting, kids' tabs start closing and it's like, oh, she's here and she's not even here. So that is a feature that obviously you don't have to use, but if I'm bored in a meeting, sometimes I will do that.
Psychological warfare.
It is. It is. So you can imagine, I have great classroom management. My kids are great. They're like, oh, what is she going to do to us? Let's see, what else? So that's that feature. So I mentioned, even if you're not in the room, if you've set those sessions up, they're going to automatically run, even if you're not logged into GoGuardian. So you don't have to be ever logged into GoGuardian for those sessions to run. They will run automatically. You don't have to sit at your computer and watch what kids are doing because a history will be kept for them. So once they're in 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, kids are starting to know how to clear their history. Now all of that's still saved in our proxy servers, so it doesn't ever go away, but I don't know how to access the proxy server. I would have to have Lori or Roger do that for me. But with GoGuardian, it will keep track of what you did. So if you're out and you have a suspicion that something didn't go so right with Johnny, you can run a report to see what he did the day that you weren't there. So you can see the top 5 websites where he spent his time or she spent their time, and then you can also have an exact list of the URLs that they were on during that session. So, I've had some phone calls with parents. Hey, so-and-so was on basketball jam or whatever during my class for a certain amount of time, and they weren't able to get their work done. So just wanted to let you know that. And I just send the screenshot of the report So there's not a question that they weren't doing what they should be doing. So that's a nice feature too. You can run it for multiple kids, you can run it for just one kid. And I also tell the kids, hey, I'm not here to catch you doing something bad. Okay, I don't have time to monitor 200 kids a day and what they're doing every minute they're in my classroom. But it's there as a safety if I need it, so that they know that it's always available. So what do you guys think about GoGuardian so far? Yeah,
Pretty awesome.
it's a pretty cool feature. And I can see why they're wanting to push it down into 3rd, 4th, 5th grade, as these kids are getting more, using the tech more. When I was in the elementary school, that's when we first got Chromebook carts, and they might use them once every couple of days. But now they're probably using them every day for something.
They unplug them in the morning and they're with them all day long.
Yeah, so the need for it in these grade levels is a lot more. Troubleshooting, attached in that packet that I gave you on the last page, just some quick troubleshooting things and also some frequently asked questions. Until you actually have an account, going over specifics of troubleshooting, it's not going to mean anything to you until you see it happening. And I know how to use GoGuardian because I use GoGuardian, not because I went to any extra trainings. It's only because I use it on a daily basis that I know kind of some ins and outs. Their customer service is amazing. They also have a chat feature. You can send them an instant message and somebody gets back to you right away and they can help you troubleshoot. So even in the moment, if you're having trouble with a session, you know, you can contact them and they'll help you. They'll help you out. Now, all of the materials that I have for this GoGuardian session are available in that shared Kett-Tech folder. So there's a big kind of, I didn't print it out for everybody, it's a big teacher manual that has some good information on it, as well as some, our tech coordinator, Lori Kaiser, I don't know if any of you guys know Lori, she put together some tools as well, and there's a copy of that in the shared folder. Do you guys have any other questions or anything you want me to show you?
So as of now, you have to, because I'm sure my teammates will ask, if you have not attended some sort of session like this and you're a 3rd, 4th, and 5th teacher, they're not going to give you a license?
As far as I know.
Okay.
But now they're going to be able to watch the video.
Okay, because that's going to be sent out and then they can
Yeah.
be like, yeah, got the training.
Yep, got the training.
Okay.
So I would imagine that will count as well. And I'm always available if you need to send me a message, an instant message, or send me an email. I'm more than happy to help you troubleshoot anything. But my suggestion is once you get your classes up and running, just start a session and see what it looks like. Don't worry about setting scenes up or anything like that until you actually see what a session looks like and, you know, play around with sending kids an announcement or sending them a tab and see what that looks like. And then start doing things like setting up a scene. Yeah. So most of you were at a 1. I think one of you was at a 2 at the beginning. Do you have any more questions? You feel a little higher on that scale than you did before?
Yeah.
So, okay, 1 to a 2, maybe 2 to a 3. I'll take it. I'll take it.
No, I think it's one of those things like anything else, you just have to get your hands on it
Yep.
and start playing around with it.
Yeah, and you can't mess anything up on their accounts. You know, there's nothing you can do to their Chromebooks that is, you know, going to cause damage or anything just with this monitoring software.